Today I want to tackle a job that I will be so glad that I did this winter while I'm feeding cows in this round bale feeder here, and that is, of course, to pour some concrete ramps going up onto the slab so that when I'm putting bales in here with my little 8N and its pizza cutter front tires, I'm not digging big ruts and spinning tires and getting stuck and all of those problems that I had last year. I should have all of the tools and all of the supplies that I need to get this done, so let's do it. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. Well, I'm already seeing a problem. Right here at the entrance to the feeder, there's kind of a mound here, and what this is just the leftover remnants of bales from last year, straw that's been left here, and it's just, you know, started piling up, and this is what's left now. So I need to get all this stuff out of here. Obviously I don't want to pour any concrete on top of this, and it's actually a little bit of a high spot now. The best way to tackle this is with the box scraper, but right now I've got the digger hooked onto the tractor, and I just was thinking, are there any more jobs that I'm going to need that digger for before I take it off? And as it turns out, yes, there is another job that I need that for. I think I've mentioned several times at this point that this little short section of fence here on the entrance to the working corral is going to get replaced this year. There's going to be 2 posts that I need to put in. So while I've got the digger on the tractor, I'd like to go ahead and get those holes dug first. And this post with the gate hanging on it that is basically the entrance to the loading alley is very rotten as well. So what I was going to do with this one is just drill a hole right next to it and put a post, a good post, next to it and attach them together, similar to what I did over here, just to give this post a little bit of strength and rigidity, and basically just try to limp it through another year. So I think that the smart way to do this is, before getting the box scraper hooked up to the New Holland, I'm just going to get these 3 holes drilled. This one on the loading alley is easy. There's not much else that needs to happen before I can do that. But over here, I need to get this old fence out. So let's start there. And every time we do away with twine being what's holding something together is a good day. What is this thing? This is actually a pretty decent panel. It's made out of 1-inch pipe for the horizontals, and then it looks like 1.25 inches for the vertical. I think what I'm going to do with this, since it's a little too heavy to really use as a portable panel, it's kind of a pain, but this would make an awesome gate, and it would make an awesome gate kind of right here where it is. So the plan for this is, once we get the new fence built here, is to make a hinge that this panel can attach to, but eventually this panel will turn into a gate. Oh, mercy. But yeah, it is really heavy. None of the boards on this old fence are good, but a few of them are decent enough to use for patch jobs in other places. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of try to pry these out with the crowbar, because a lot of times when you do that, you just end up breaking them when they're old like this, I'm just gonna come in here with the reciprocating saw and cut them off of the posts. I don't plan on keeping this board. This post is actually still in pretty good shape. It wasn't rotted off, it was just pushed over. Well, that's not what we wanted. Tractor not needed for that one. Right here. Man, aren't I glad that I didn't try to dig any of these by hand. This ground is just rock hard right now. I cannot think of any other holes that I need to dig right now. I'm sure as soon as I get the digger off of the tractor, I will. But nevertheless, we're gonna take this off, go get the box scraper, and actually get started on what I wanted to do today. It's looking a lot better now, but the rest of this I'm gonna have to dig out by hand. First hole's done, move on to the next one. Oh, I'm getting the shade here. I've got the first form looking halfway decent now, and keep in mind, most of this is going to be underground. After I pour the concrete ramps, I'm going to come back with gravel and bury them so that the transition from dirt to concrete is smooth, and therefore, you know, hopefully we don't start digging holes again. I'm pretty happy with this one. The next thing that I need to do is drill some holes in the existing slab and glue some rebar into that, and then have the rebar come into the form for the new pour so that it ties everything together and these ramps don't start separating off of the main slab. And I'm also seeing on the other side, the concrete from this post is kind of interfering with where I would like the form to be. So what I'm gonna attempt to do is just drill a few holes in that concrete, and then hopefully it will break off with the mini sledge. And to power all my corded power tools today and to charge the batteries for the cordless ones, I'm using my EcoFlow Delta 2 Max. Isn't it nice not to have to listen to the drone of a generator while I'm doing this project? There we go. Come to life. Yeah. There. Seems like a good spot. Boy, there's not really a great way to push on this, you know, down here in a hole. without screwing my form up, of course. I hit something hard there. I guess that'll have to do it. That's all we need. That ought to work there. The next step is gluing this rebar in the holes that I drilled in the slab. I thought I had some of that, I don't know, glue, epoxy, whatever you want to call it, with me, but I don't. So this is gonna have to wait until I can get some, and we'll pick the video up there. Well, it's the next day now, and I was able to find my concrete epoxy, but it's almost completely dried up. I did poke my knife in the side of it to see that there is still some in there that's usable, so hopefully, I mean, this is going to be messy, but hopefully we can get enough into the hole to do what we need to do. Maybe it's just better to go off the side there. All right, I think we're ready to pour. Let me turn my generator on. Done. Hardest part about finishing concrete, which I am no expert at, trust me, but the hardest part is knowing just when to quit and leave it alone. But I think I've reached that point. Let's go ahead and get this other side poured. Well, these look pretty good. They should work anyway. We'll leave the forms on them for at least another day or so, and then I won't drive on them until I start feeding in here, which won't be for more than a month. So these will have plenty of time to dry and set up, and yeah, it ought to be nice. If you're wondering why did I take so much time to finish these out and make them as smooth as I could, because having smooth concrete here is just going to be slippery for the tires. Well, the reason why I did that was really just to practice, because this is something that I'm not very good at, and every time I get an opportunity to work on that skill, I'll take advantage of it. And with these particular slabs, it's okay if they're smooth, because the back tires will never be like trying to get traction here. If you look at how short the feeder is, the back tires of the tractor never actually go in it. So really only the front tires will be going up and down these, and they are not drive tires, so having a smooth finish there won't matter. Well, all said and done, I only used 6 bags here, which is half of what I was figuring on. I don't know why I thought I was going to need so much, but the good news is that I've got 6 bags left over here, which is the perfect amount to set those other 2 posts over there on the entrance to the working corral. So while I got the cement mixer, I got everything here ready to do this, may as well just do it now. Doesn't matter if you're moving over 10 miles or 10 feet, gathering all your tools up is still a pain. Pretty simple, straightforward job over here. We're just putting 2 posts in the ground, and yet it's not quite as simple as it seems, because the placement of these posts it's important, because they have to line up with other things so that in the future when I finish the corral, they'll be in the right spot. The first post here at the end of the catch funnel has to be in line with the catch funnel, but I also need to think about making a gate frame here. So this is going to have to be a tall post. I'm guessing it's going to be around 10 or 11 feet in total length and stick up, you know, maybe 8 feet or something like that. So this tall post will then have a cross beam that goes over to this existing post. We're going to have to extend it a little bit to make all of that work. The next post down here has to be in line with the first post that I was just talking about, and this end post down here, and these 2 posts, because we're going to have a cross brace going across right here. Why the absurd amount of cross bracing on all of these posts? Well, it's because these 2 posts, it's essentially at this point are standing alone, so they have nothing to really hold themselves off of. In the future, when the catch funnel is made into steel, these will tie in better, but I mean, that might be many years before I replace this. It's not in that bad a shape as it is. So by having a cross piece, tying it into this existing fence, and then another cross brace tying it into the tub, that's going to tie it in 2 spots. And then, you know, if cattle bump into this or hit it or try to jump over it or whatever they might try to do, not only is the concrete holding this fence up, you know, by the posts, but you've also got these cross braces that are making sure it can't tip or lean or do anything that we don't want it to do. Sort of a safe rule of thumb is to just overbuild everything, and then you don't have to worry about it. Sometimes a problem with this dirt when it's this dry is when you try to pinch it with the post digger. Oh, look at that. Huh. Hold on, I gotta show you guys something. What are you doing in there, dude? Somehow a lizard made his way into that hole. I don't think he can get out because he's not. Good thing I didn't chop him in half with the post digger. There. We got you. Now go hide somewhere else. My main concern with figuring out how tall to make these gate posts and therefore how high the cross brace will be, is I just want to be sure that I've got enough headroom so that I can back my tractor in there if for some reason I ever need to do that, which I don't know what that would be, but you know, you don't want to rule these things out. As it is right now, that alleyway is too narrow and I wouldn't be able to get the tractor in there anyway. But when I do get everything changed over and replaced like I'm planning on doing, then it will be wide enough. So it'd be quite a shame if it was wide enough and not tall enough. So thinking about that too. And it looks like 10 feet is the magic number. I know full well that these are longer than 10 feet, but I'm just curious as to how much. So here's 10. All three of these long pieces are about 16 feet long, which is kind of a bummer because having a 6-foot stub is not really that useful. It'd be nice if it was a little bit longer. But you know, I'm sure, knowing me, I'll find somewhere to put it someday. So yeah, let's lug one of these over and get it cut. Oh, that looks heavy. Maybe if I complain about it, it'll get a little bit lighter. It never seems to happen. Ooh, yeah, it's not that bad. Could be worse, could be worse. Oh man, I was afraid of that. As soon as I dug this other hole, it just looked like it was off, and now that I've got the string up, it's got to move over several inches. The bad thing, not only do we no longer have the digger hooked up, but once you've already got a hole in the ground, it's really difficult to dig another hole right next to it with the digger because it wants to keep dropping in the original hole that you already dug. So really the only way to do this is by hand with the hand digger, and I'm not looking forward to it because this ground is so hard, but I guess that's what's got to happen. How did I get it so far off? Oh yeah, digging in concrete. Oh man, it feels good to have that done. I do not know how I got so far off with the hole that I dug with the actual digger on the tractor. I mean, I'm almost like 2 holes wide now, which is crazy. So anyway, there was a little voice in my head that said, just angle the fence a little bit and then you won't have to, you know, widen up that hole. But I'm glad that I did it right, because I know if I would have done that, I never would have been happy with it. So anyway, let's get the next post cut and get it cemented into this hole and see how everything looks. Quite the obstacle course I've created. That's a little better. Well, there you have it. They didn't come out perfect, but they're pretty good. Good enough. The 2 posts and then the existing one down there on the end of the tub they line up pretty good this way. I'm happy with that. Where we fell a little short is I wanted this one to line up with those two on the tub, because there will eventually be a cross brace connecting them, and you know, just would look better if they were all in the same line. And it is close. Honestly, it's the kind of thing that no one will notice but me, so I guess we'll be happy with that. So the next step here is welding in the horizontal pipe and then some sort of a hinge and get this gate set up on this side. But I like to wait and let this concrete set up for at least a day, because when you're putting the horizontal pipe in, you know, you have a tendency to be pushing on things and banging on things, and it's just better if the concrete has a chance to dry before you start doing all that. I've had this EcoFlow Delta 2 Max for a little over a month now, and I think out of all the people that I've seen on YouTube testing these things, I feel like I have been the hardest on mine. It's dusty, it's dirty, it's been bouncing around in the back of the side-by-side basically since I've had it. And I gotta say that even despite my maybe not taking the greatest care of it, it's held up perfectly fine. You don't like listening to generators, do you? Yeah, that's what I thought. Couple that with the fact that I still have not found a power tool that this thing won't run. I was wondering if the cement mixer, when it was, you know, kind of chugging and mixing a big load of cement, if that would slow it down, but it really didn't. When I started today, the battery was only at like 52%, I want to say, and it has dropped down to 47. So I only used 5% of the battery, and you know, that was using my bandsaw, the cement mixer, pretty much anything that I needed to get this job done. If you're interested in getting an EcoFlow solar generator, I'll leave some information and some links in the description below. Go check it out. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.